Hi and welcome. Today, let's just dive in with the blues. I'm going to give you powerful tips for playing better blues, okay? These tips are going to help you today and forever. I teach every single one of my students these tips and I definitely recommend you learn them. So let's just jump in. Here's tip number one. All right, one of the first things you should do with the blues is have some core licks and riffs. You know, I've got some simple stuff that I like to teach students right away, this sort of thing. Simple stuff like that, you know? It's a bit of fun. A couple of riffs, a couple of licks. You can learn them separately. You can do these sort of licks. You know, nice slow bluesy ones. You can do some more rapid kind of licks. You know, it's a little bit quicker, a little bit trickier. You know, the idea is that you learn your licks, you know what key they're in, you use them. I actually played the first section there in E and then the second section in A. So you've got to be aware of doing these things and what key you're in, how you can use these licks. Very, very important that, okay? Second tip then is learn the 12 bar blues structure, okay? So 12 bars, let's make it, you know, let's add them all up. So we're in the key of E, we've got 4 bars of E. Then you've got 2 bars of A. Okay, that's the first 6 bars already done. Then you've got another 2 bars of E. Then a bar of B, a bar of A, and 2 bars of E. Okay, that adds up to 12. So you've got to learn that structure inside out. And you can play them, you know, as chords like that. Or you can play them as like the shuffle. But however you learn it, that structure is always there underneath. Even if you like Travis picking it. There you go, that was the first 4 bars in E, just Travis picked. So learn the structure, very important. Get it nailed, absolutely rock solid. Okay, next one is get comfortable with a minor pentatonic scale. You can learn a minor pentatonic scale in so many different positions. You know, most people try and learn 5 if they're really into the blues, but you want to learn E minor in an open position. Okay, then you want to be able to learn a fretted version of the scale. So you could do E minor at the 12th fret like this. Okay, there are little fragments of scales you can learn as well, which I've taught on, you know, elsewhere on the channel. You know, little bits where you play the 4 notes here. And you could do little licks like that using 4 notes. All that was fret 3 and 5 of the B string, 3 and 5 of the high E. And I added the additional blues note on the 6th fret of the high E. But that sounds really cool. That's a nice mini fragment. If all you do today is learn that, that's really, really nice. You can mix that up with like the shuffle. You know, doing little stuff like that, that's a bit of fun. All right, number 4, really, really powerful in the blues. Everybody has it, whether it's B.B. King, Gary Moore, Jimi Hendrix. It's a great vibrato. Okay, so if you're playing a little lick, you know, you want to let it vibrato after. Is that actually a verb? Let it vibrato, is that the right phrase? But you want to give the note vibrato as it rings out. Whatever the note is. Even just 2 notes sounds cool as vibrato. You know, it's much better than playing it flat. That sounds boring. This is cool. You know, simple stuff like that. It sounds good with vibrato. Much better. So the next one is microbends. They sound really, really cool. Okay, so if you used to play a little phrase like where you just bend the string slightly as you go into another note. It sounds cool. You know, if we do that 3-5, 3-5 at the B string and high E string, you know, you can go 5 to 3 on each string. Just little bends like that. Sounds a bit cooler than just going. So microbends are cool. Loads of different ways you can do them, and they just add a little bit of bluesy pizzazz, which is a nice simple thing to do. All right, experimenting with rhythms. Okay, so the blues are often based around the shuffle rhythm. You know, something this kind of rhythm. But then sometimes you want to add triplets in there as well. So kind of like doing. Hear the triplets there. Sounds cool. And when you kind of mix and match. Hear that? I mixed up the shuffle with the triplets. Okay, triplets cool, you know, they're really, really good, especially when you add in a few licks in and riffs. That sounds really nice. Just the occasional triplet goes a long way. All right, so backing tracks, this is a really good one. Everybody should jam along with backing tracks because when you play lead licks and lead ideas, even on the acoustic, and you haven't got a backing track or you're not sort of doing rhythm and lead yourself, you get a bit stuck with rhythm. It's kind of a bit boring. But if you had the backing track with you, it gives you context, okay? So I'm gonna play something now. Treat me like I'm a backing track, okay? Treat me nicely, but treat me like I'm a backing track. Here we go. So the first 6 bars, just play along. Do the 3-5-3-5 of the B and high E. See what you can come up with over this little kind of a backing track. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. See if you can rewind that and jam along with it. Just play that 3-5. Little licks like that. All that sort of stuff works. That's just 3-5-3-5 on that B and high E. Okay, next one. This one's all about adding emotion, and it's probably the most powerful in many ways, but adding emotion is very, very powerful. But the thing is, how do you add emotion? Well, first of all, you need to look at the first 8 tips we've done and apply those, okay? Because the more you can vary with rhythms, you can add vibrato, you can play along with backing tracks to give you context, you know, all these little things, mix and match the rhythms. They'll help you add emotion. And that's the most important thing with the blues, okay? Technically, you want to be sound. You want to be able to play cleanly and nicely and tidily. Because if you try and start doing too much without a solid framework, everything just falls down. You know, it's just like building a big, nice mansion, but the foundations are on sand. You know, very quickly, it all just falls apart. So you want to get the solid foundations, and that comes from technique. So that's really, really important, technique. And if you want more help with like basic technique, as well as doing the fancy stuff, so you can build on it, you know, so you got the yin and yang almost, technique and the fancy stuff, then you might want to check out the Dan Thorpe Acoustic Academy at fingerstyle101.com/academy. It's mostly acoustic based, what we do, but everything there works on the electric as well. And it's not all just fingerstyle, there's a lot of strumming, there's a lot of blues, there's a lot of fun to be had, okay? So you can check that out and have lots of fun. There you go, I hope you enjoyed that. If you want a bit more detail and a bit of a workout on the specifics, you know, some of the things that we've covered here, check out this video, and I hope you have loads of fun. Have a great day and enjoy the blues. Bye.